to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Well, thanks for everyone coming out tonight. We have a full agenda, so we'll get right to it. Second point on the agenda is public comment. At this point, public comment is anything other than the public hearings that we have tonight. So if you wish to talk during the public hearings, point number 4, 5, and 6 has been postponed. Hold your comments. But if you're here from the public to talk about something else, please approach the podium and state your name and address, and we'll go from there. Okay, seeing no one on other subjects other than our public hearings tonight, we'll move on to point number 3, approval of Planning Commission's meeting minutes. Can you believe it, back from May? So May 2nd, 2022, I take it everyone's had a chance to take a look at them. Any changes, comments? Nope. Okay, may I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Okay. Moving right along. All right, point number 4. So again, as I said, we're having 2 public hearings tonight. One's a zoning and one's a conditional use permit. So we're going to start with the rezoning. Rezoning request by Marjorie Ann Rudy, property owner and RWW 34 LLC contract purchaser, to rezone the property located at 1200 Buffalo Drive Northwest, tax parcel 556-A-84, parcel ID 111028. It's 4,901 acres from Agricultural District A and Business, General Business District B3 to Multifamily Residence District R3 with proper conditions in order to allow for 49 townhome units. The property is designated as residential on the future land map of the Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. So, as normal, Benjamin, would you kick us off with a short summary of what's going on here?
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you noted, this is 1200 Buffalo Drive. The request tonight is to rezone the property from agriculture and B3 to the multifamily R3 district, as you said, for 49 townhomes. It is 4.9 acres, almost 5 acres. It was granted a CUP for private recreational facility back in May of 21, which will probably become void after this request, should it be granted. Additionally, and the applicant is here to speak on it tonight, and they have a nice presentation for you, but I do want to draw your attention, there are 2 voluntary proffers which they have put on the table. 1, the property should be developed in substantial conformance with the master plan, which is included in your packet, and 2, that the property proposed for rezoning shall be utilized only for residential townhome use. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, very good. All right, at this point in time, I'll open this part of the public hearing, open to the public to speak. And if you would, proceed to the podium and state your name and address.
Good evening. Good to see everybody again. Steve Simonis with Balzer & Associates, 80 College Street. I have Jim Wessel here with me tonight from RWW. And my middle son, just to let you all know, he's, I was telling Jude, he's working on he's almost finished with his Eagle Scout project. He's finishing up all of his paperwork, and we realized in citizenship in the community, which is one of his merit badges, there was one piece that was left, which was come to a public hearing. So he's here tonight. So he's going to listen in to us this evening. So thank you all for taking the time to hear the project tonight. So again, as Benjamin said, this is 4.9 acres. We all kind of know where we are, but just pointed out to the audience, Christiansburg Middle School is just to the north of us. This is our site here. Good Samaritan Hospice, West Main Street, Route 8 Donuts, Moose, and Buffalo Drive here. Victory Restoration Church, and then the rest of this property here is part of F&B Land, which were the master developers for the Kensington development. As Benjamin said, this had a previous CUP on it. That would be void with this application if it moves forward. The property, as we see here, is 4.9 acres. It has a little bit of a strange access. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of frontage on Moose Drive. As we get into the master plan, we'll kind of talk about how that was looked at when we met with staff early on. But it does have frontage on Buffalo as well, where it's improved to access back into the school bus loop and then the passenger vehicle access back to Harkrader Sports Complex. This is just a zoom in of the property showing the topography. Currently, right now, there's an existing house on the property and a couple outbuildings. So the plan right now, and I'm going to actually jump ahead to this one and I'll come back to it. So the plan as shown right now, the 49 townhomes. From an access perspective, we'll talk about that first. You can see we've got one access point into the property right now. And because of our location to that intersection at Moose and Buffalo, we couldn't get another access point right here. This access point to the existing townhomes on the opposite side of Moose wouldn't meet current VDOT standards. So we try to limit our intersections or limit our access points that close to an intersection. If any of you all have had kids that have go to school here, you know in the afternoons and in the mornings those back up as well. So as we talked about it, an access up here off of Moose, far enough away from the main drop-off area was probably best. We do have some flexibility. You can see the existing driveway right here is on this second access that goes back to Harkrader. It doesn't really impact our layout one way or the other. We talked to staff about that. So whether it comes across at the bus loop where we have shown here or the second access where the existing driveway is, it works. It works for either way for us. So the homes as proposed would be 2- and 3-story homes. Maximum height is 35 feet. One thing to note is, as Benjamin said, this is a straight R3 rezoning, so this isn't a planned housing development. We're not monkeying with setbacks or parking ratios or open space. Everything, if approved, would just go straight with the R3 based on the R3 zoning district standards and the supplementary townhome standards that are within the town zoning ordinance. So we'd have 3 different unit types, and I'll show you guys the floor plans for those as we get a little bit further into the presentation. 3 home sizes. One's an 18-foot wide unit that would be 3 stories. That'd be a 3-bed, 3.5 bath, has a place for a home office, and rounds out at a little over 2,000 square feet. You have a 24-foot interior unit that's a 2-story. That's a 3-bed, 3.5 bath, again with an office that comes in at about a little over 1,800, and then a 30-foot unit, which would be your end units here. Those are 2-story. Those are 3-bed, 2 baths, and about 1,887 square feet. These homes would be on subdivided lots, so they could be sold or rented. We'd have an HOA that would be put in place that would maintain all the ground, stormwater management, the exterior of the units themselves. As we looked at layouts on this, because of the limitations on where we could access in and out of the property, it was Mr. Woody's desire to try to keep as much open space down here at the entrance to the property as we could. So you'll see we've got a large amount of open space right here. A portion of that would be used for stormwater management. We've also got an open space area right here. So as you can see, the units are backed away from the school and backed away from the entrances. I'm going to go back here to a little zoom in area. You can see each townhome unit has its own driveway. These are not garage, and we're not providing parking spaces like a parking lot, so we're kind of somewhere in between. Each one would have a driveway for their 2 parking spaces that are required by code for a townhome. So you can see those shown here in the dark hatching. We would have an access that would come in. You would be able to make this loop. This is 2-way. The town requires a 30-foot access easement for townhomes if every lot does not have frontage on a public road. So you'd be able to come in, access your units, and come out in these different directions. One piece to bring up is this is the open area that I noted was F&B land. It's currently zoned agricultural right now as well. What we are doing is right up here at the top. These aren't public roads. This would be a private road, but this would allow possibly for some future emergency access should this property over here, I mean, it will develop at some point in the future, so that could provide an additional access for emergency ingress, egress, depending upon how this property next door were to develop. As part of the project also, we'll be installing new public sidewalk. So Good Samaritan Hospice has sidewalk along a section of it. We'd be installing additional sidewalk proposed along Moose and Buffalo up to our access point here. We'd also have sidewalk that would extend into our development, so folks could come across the drive aisle here at a couple of crosswalk locations and come down the sidewalk and get on the public sidewalk. This development, obviously being right next door to the school, would be a great, great opportunity for folks that are living there and have school-age children going to CMS. They could walk to school. Now, one of the downsides on that is, unfortunately, CMS doesn't have any sidewalks out to the public road, but you would be able to get across on a public sidewalk and come down into the school. My youngest son right now is at CMS, and all of our boys have gone through there. And if you go out, certainly at pickup time at the end of the day, you'll see several kids that are walking up the street here on Moose, coming to some of the other townhome developments. So it is walkable, which is good to see. So hopefully the sidewalk infrastructure that goes in with this would make it a little bit easier for those kids and their parents. While not specifically required with this zoning designation and this use, we do have the open space I talked about. So we've got about 1.2 acres of open space. So that works out to be right at 20% or 25% of the overall site area. So again, these would be areas that we would use down here for stormwater management, but some of the upper areas in this one in here, the HOA could put in a playground or some other amenity for the residents if they'd like. But that's a good amount of open space right there across from the school. We've talked about the access. Stormwater management, we all know College Street and that drainage basin is a concern. Council's in the process right now of, I'm not sure where they are, Benjamin, with the third-party consultant that they're working with to do the overall drainage study of College Street. If you all remember back a year and a half ago, we were here with Shaw on the property just down College. As we got into that design, we had some conversations with Mike Kelly and the engineering group about what that study may look like from a regional stormwater perspective. I know that's ongoing, but obviously we will have discussions and work with the town as far as the best way to approach stormwater on this site, whether it's an on-site solution or if it's part of an overall regional strategy. But I know when they were doing the original, the first run at their analysis 2 years ago maybe, they had looked at some of these areas upstream as far as where future potential development would be. We do have a pond that went in as part of the site plan we did for Good Sam. There's a pond right here on the Kensington property as well. So stormwater will be something we have to really look at as we get into the site plans if this is approved. Landscaping will be provided by town code or per town code. That would be any buffers, parking lot landscaping, and overall green space. We did look at trip generation, and this was included in your package as well. 49 townhomes, it's not a lot of density, but obviously any density around a school is something we wanted to look at. In the morning, it kicks in about 20 trips during that peak hour. So as you all know, we look at peak hour in the morning and peak hour in the afternoon. So those peak hours in the morning are 7 to 9, and then 4 to 6 in the afternoon. So based on the ITE manual, we generate a townhome of this size generates almost 7 trips per unit per day. So when you run that math out, that's how we get our overall average daily traffic. But during that peak hour of time in the morning and the afternoon, it was generating about 20 trips in the morning and about 25 trips in the afternoon. the good thing to remember is that 4 to 6 hour, or that 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the evening, you're not overlapping with that school traffic. So when you've got that heavier peak, those peaks are offsetting based on what the school release time is, which I believe is what, Brady? 2:50, somewhere around there. So water and sewage usage, we provided those estimates as well, gave that to the town. I'm not sure if Benjamin has any updates, but we haven't heard anything from town engineering staff as far as any water or sewer issues on that. Trash, we don't have any dumpsters on the site. We would be using rollout carts either with the town as part of a town contract or private contract with that if the town service didn't wish to service this site. In closing, Benjamin mentioned the future land use map, so this does show residential and future land use map. Everything around us is residential on that FLU as well. We do have townhomes, as I stated, directly across the street. We've got townhomes that are currently being built in Kensington, just kind of off page here on the other side of the ball fields. So we feel like from a use standpoint, it is something that meets the adjacent properties. It's compatible with it. It'll be a nice product, and again, hopefully provide some additional housing for families right here near the school. And as we said, it does provide good walkability to the school and gives people good access out to 81 if they're commuters to Blacksburg or Roanoke. And as Benjamin said, we did have the 2 proffers in there. I'll go through real quick. It's maybe a little hard to see, but so these are the 3 unit types. So this is the 18-foot unit. This is the 18-foot wide 3-story unit. So again, living, dining, and kitchen downstairs. Master bedroom and an office on the 2nd floor, and then 2 more bedrooms on the top. Each one of those has a bath, 1 bath per bed. This is the 2-story 24-foot lower floor. So again, living room, kitchen, dining room, that also has a study and an office on the main floor. And upstairs, you've got your 3 bedrooms and 3 baths. Laundry's upstairs as well. The last one are your end units. These are the 30-foot units. That's the 30-foot wide end units. So that when you do have a master or you do have a bedroom on the main, you've got 1 open great room, kitchen and dining. And then upstairs, you've got 2 beds and 1 bath. So this does not have bed-bath parity. The other ones do. And again, everything's in that 1,800 to 2,000 square foot range. So that'll wrap me up, but I'm happy to answer any questions Planning Commission may have.
What's their rent?
I'd have to ask Jim if you guys have talked about that. If they're rented, roughly rental cost.
Last year, things we used to rent for $800 or $900, now we're renting for $1,200 or $1,300. That's just the marketplace. We don't control the marketplace. We just participate.
And how about the outright buyout cost?
As of right now, Roger's kind of the mindset that there's more value, future value in real estate than there is in the actual dollars in the bank. And, the dollars in the bank, we're talking about our percentage, 4 or 5% within the values in the property, we're looking at technically 7, 12, or 15% a year. Under the current values. And of course, market conditions change over time. So 2 years from now, we may be in a completely different market than we are right now. 2 years ago, we were in a severely different than we are right now. I don't have a crystal ball.
I have a question. So by right, what's the greatest density that you can put on that acreage?
10 units
10
per
per acre.
acre. But they're right
So
at.
that's what I'm saying. They're at the maximum amount of houses you can squish in by right.
4.9? Oh, you mean, yeah, with what we're asking for, yeah, the 4.9 and we're at 49. Yes, ma'am. Yep. Well, yeah, exactly. I
It was
guess.
simple math. I'm not trying to trick you.
No, when you said, yeah, what it's zoned, I thought you were asking what it's zoned right now, what you could get on there as
No.
agricultural. Yeah.
I think what's on there now is what you can get. There's a house.
So I think what I'd like to do is let's hold our questions, let's let the rest of the public speak, and then Steve, if you stick around, and as we get into our discussion period, then I'm sure we'll have other questions. So at this time, I'd like to invite anyone else wishing to speak to the commission on the rezone.
On the next point,
No, just on the same point. Okay, seeing no one, I will close that public hearing.
Excuse the future Eagle Scout hunting comments.
We can put you on the spot.
Okay, and then we'll move on to our next public hearing, and then we'll circle back around for our comments, sections, and questions, okay? So, moving on to the conditional use permit. This is permit requested by Lloyd Mary Birch II, LLC, property owner, and Ron Frank Jr. Lessee, to allow the public billiard parlor and pool room on the property located at 3165 North Franklin Street. Tax parcels, I'm not going to read all the tax parcels because there's a lot. So I'll just move on to being all of the zone General Business District B3. The property is designated as business and commercial on the future land use map on the Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. So, as usual, Benjamin, can you give us a quick overview?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you noted, this property consists of multiple parcels, totaling about 1.7 acres. It's currently mostly occupied by a shopping center, and specifically the two units, the Tuesday morning and the designer consigner units, if you're familiar with those, or where we're talking about this. Together, that's about 20,000 square feet. The applicant is here, and he'll tell you more in detail about the request. But Jude, if you could go up one slide. It is divided roughly in half. The left half is proposed to be more restaurant-oriented. Zoom in a little bit. Sorry.
We're older, Jude.
Yeah. In the right hand.
I'm older and can't see it.
In the right hand is more
Why didn't
pool.
you have it right in front of me?
Sorry.
In the right hand is more pool focused. So just, kind of in summarizing their proposal here, they would have 30 pool tables, 8 sets of cornhole, I assume everyone knows what it is, 6 dart games, and 10 poker tables. And in addition to that, there are 133 tables of various types for dining, round tables, there's tables that are square, there's 3-seat tables. There's a bunch of spaces at the bar. Probably, if the applicant were to build all of this, something like 500 seats, I think is what we headed up to. The parking required for the facility would be approximately 140 spaces. The entire shopping center has about 150 spaces. And there are some other uses in the shopping center. So the applicant will need to come up with alternative parking someplace nearby that meets the town standards. I would also add that, as you guys know, council recently amended the town code to allow pool and alcohol to coexist. That would be the case here. Again, I'll let the applicant speak some about that. But I do want to stress it's something that you sort of move towards, that we're working through. And I'm sure you all will have lots of questions. So I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, thank you. Okay, so we'll open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak about the conditional use permit request? state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Ron Frank Jr., and I live at 2502 Wintergreen Drive, Radford, Virginia, which is Montgomery County. Been there for about 25 years. So I'm looking to put a bar restaurant right there on 460, pretty much very similar to what a Bull and Bones is doing. I've got a restaurant now. We've got one in Pulaski, Virginia. Been there a couple of years. I'm in the pawn shop business is what I do. I've got 3 stores. I've been doing that 25 years. It's going to be a pretty substantial project. Quite a bit of money will be spent. It's going to create quite a few jobs, probably minimum of 40, depending on business, could be upwards of maybe 60. Parking is going to be an issue. Going to have to talk to some folks to the left and to the right, maybe even the mall. Maybe put in a shuttle bus, maybe shuttle people back and forth. Not really sure how that's going to play out. Need to get with the building inspectors and some other people, ADA, and find out what's going to need to be done. So, any questions that y'all have or that I could help with?
Real quick, what type of restaurant?
It is basically just Southern comfort food, home cooking. Everything we do at the restaurant in Pulaski, it's all homemade. We do a buffet style. It's kind of, we fell right in line with like a steer house, that type of stuff. This restaurant, the key to this whole thing working is the restaurant. Everybody is placing so much emphasis on the pool and the alcohol. That's not the emphasis of this project. It will not survive just as a bar. If we don't have the food in the restaurant, it'll be a flop. The restaurant is the catalyst that'll drive that business.
And just another quick question before we move on.
Sure.
Hours of business?
Sunday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. until midnight. Then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
My name's Andrew Scarrett. I own the APA, the American Pool Players franchise for this area. I've owned it for 20 years. Sent literally thousands of people to Las Vegas to play in the world's largest pool events. And currently we are busting at the seams of people to play, of places to play and table availability. If anybody's ever been to Bull and Bones on a Monday night or a Tuesday night and seen everybody playing pool and writing little stuff down on paper, that's my league. That's what I do. And this opportunity right here for the area is on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. It's going to contribute a lot to the success of the restaurant, but it also opens up the opportunity for potentially regional events where we would have people coming from other areas to play in much larger events. In fact, there's a place in Roanoke that's very similar in size and space to what Ron has in mind, that's hosting a regional event in March. This coming October. The March one hasn't been determined, but if the doors are open here, I might be able to get that. And that's going to bring people in from Chesapeake, from Richmond, from Virginia Beach, from North Carolina, all to come and play in major events. So there's that aspect of it, and of course that's spin-off for the entire community, hotel rooms, restaurants, gas stations, blah, blah, blah. It's going to increase business. And there's just a lot of things about league in general. Sometimes people have pool has a negative connotation. I like to use the example of when Pinocchio went to get in trouble. What did he do? He went and played pool, But pool is just a game, obviously, and I've owned and operated this franchise for 20 years, and I've had not one instance that I've had to call the police or anything like that. I've had to ask people to leave the building. Yes, that's happened. but it's never come to it. It's never come to that point. And actually, I think leagues generate a more responsible environment for the activity. In fact, I don't want to tell too many stories, but when I first started APA, a reporter came and did an article on my league, and they came to Bogan's, which is now Frank's at 622 on Main Street in Blacksburg, and the reporter's sitting there watching, and they have 3 pool tables, and our guys are playing over here, and just normal patrons are playing over here. And she looks at me and she goes, I can tell which area the league's at just from the behavior of the people, basically. I mean, our league's organized, it's structured, and it leads to a more, I guess, civilized approach, if you will. I don't know if that's the correct thing, but if you have any questions about how league activity works and whatnot, but this is a huge opportunity for we have people that drive from Wytheville, from Pulaski County to play in our league, and this is just going to open up the opportunity right now. Right now, it should seriously expand.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay.
All right. At this point, is there anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, I'll go ahead and close this part of the public hearing and move on to point number 6, which will be very quickly. It's another conditional use permit, and the requester has asked us to postpone that to a later date as he gathers additional information.
If you would order, the request was to continue the item to the 17th.
To continue it to the 17th. Okay.
The 17th of May.
The 17th of October.
Okay, so we will not be taking any action on that tonight, right? Okay, so at this point, let's circle back around to the discussion points among the commission, and while we have the applicants here, go ahead and let's start with the property on 1200 Buffalo Drive, and have at it, commissioners.
So, yeah, so the question about this like strange dotted line thing going on, the road is narrow, but it does go around to the church past the townhomes. That's not just the access road to the water tower thing, correct?
No. Can I speak?
Yeah.
It is actually just it is just a gravel access for the town right now. As part of the Kensington development in 2006, when that was all rezoned, part of those proffers were to make that road a full public road.
Yeah.
If you all remember, a couple of years ago,
They came back to us.
we had to come back because all the utilities that are in there, the town's water line,
Yeah.
it wasn't going to be possible to do that. So part of that rezoning was that there will be another connection made from Kensington, basically Bishopsgate Drive out to Moose. You kind of take away that requirement of Buffalo to be approved, get another way out to Moose through that future. So right now it is only used, I mean, I'm sure there are people that they go up and down, but it's certainly not built to public standards, so it's pretty much used by town forces. I guess if they need to, then they come up Bishopsgate as well. I know there has just been a deed transfer, I think, last week, that one of those lots at the top of the hill at the Kensington development was deeded to the town, from Mr. Franklin to the town for the construction of a new water tower. So there's a piece of that up there as well, so there'll be a new tank.
The part of the question is the dotting of showing the line was really just to say like there is kind of a road here, but not that you're going to build a road behind the town.
Correct. Yeah, for the same physical construction reasons, we couldn't do it. So, yeah, the road would be improved. It would be improved up to town standard as required.
right now it's all kind of roadside ditch, so if based on part of our development, if curb and gutter needs to go in, the sidewalk will obviously go in, so it would be proved up to a public standard, up to our entrance. But yeah, beyond the terminus here at this other access point, there's no.
There's buried utilities there and it's not feasible for.
Right, yeah, all these, and I'm sorry, all these dash lines, that was where the future right-of-way was gonna be, that line right there, that line right there. Those two, the two solid lines would have been the future edge of pavement, your 30-foot street, paved street. So that's how, if anything were to change in the future and that road got put in, that's how it would go in. But the bigger thing was to show, the reason we showed that is still showing that we're meeting setbacks off of that. And it actually gives you a whole lot more, existing, you got a whole lot more green space than just what's shown on the property, because you've got that gap between our property line and that existing gravel road.
I might also add, if the request is approved, the applicant will have to submit the site to the town.
Yeah.
So we'll do all of that. Some of these issues will get worked out.
And right now, has the town heard from anybody at Montgomery County Schools on this subject?
No, sir.
Okay. And no other people have contacted you
No, sir.
that maybe are not here tonight?
No, not about this request.
I have concerns with, I think it's a clever way to not be a roundabout. However, a single point of egress across from the school is a little concerning. Just from the standpoint of traffic, but also if there was an accident or something, and I don't know, it's a lot of density to put in a space where you can't. There's future connection, but you can't say when or if that's gonna get connected.
Now, one thing that we could check on, prior to town council, I'm not sure grade wise. I know with Victory Restoration Church here, they've got a little, they store their trailer and stuff right there. I'm not sure if you would physically be able to make that access from there into their drive, if they would even allow that. But again, if we had a second way out, we certainly would get one, but we just don't have one.
Well, I mean, the second way out is not possible because you can't build a road over utility.
Right. Now, I mean, from an emergency perspective, let's say there was somebody, if there was an accident right here, the road's still traversable. I mean, you could still get up and around, and that'll take you right up to Bishopsgate, and then you're on Bishopsgate and Diana Drive. So you do have another way in and out. If there were an emergency right here at the intersection that was blocking people from getting into this, there is another way to get there in an emergency.
So I don't think I'm supposed to ask, but as far as parking goes,
Mhm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But there doesn't appear to be any kind of excess parking. There's only driveway parking.
Mm-hmm.
If they start parking on the road, do we still have a wide enough road to get emergency vehicles by, traffic by, things of that
At a
nature?
30-foot road, you would. Yeah, that's the same size road you'd have on a normal street in Christiansburg. Now, I was actually thinking about that, Jennifer, this morning, putting our slides together. There is the ability that we've got a few little places here along the road that we can pull some additional parking out. We could pop some in here in this island. So, I mean, there are some other places we could get some guest parking in. If that's something Planning Commission would like to see, we could update that before we.
I think that parking is important. Rarely do you have a townhouse and they only need 2 cars.
Mhm.
Whether it's people coming to visit or it's, a teenage kid, mom and dad and a kid, or whoever, right? Undoubtedly, we're gonna have overflow, and that overflow can cause some problems. And that's what I don't wanna see. I don't want, even though there's a sidewalk to get there from the main road, instead of a child's gonna walk to school. But when you're walking through parking lots and you're driving along roads where there's a lot of congestion already lined up along the road, I do worry about the safety of our residents back there, or if we need to get a fire truck back there. You tell me it's gonna fit, but what if it can't get turned around, or,
Mhm.
that's my concern.
Sure.
So I guess that's what would be my biggest concern.
Okay.
Townhomes are needed, we need the housing. And I think it's a good location for the housing. There's multifamily all around it, likely, the field in front of it, Carolyn's probably gonna put multifamily. I think it fits well for that.
Yeah, the parking is just the biggest thing, is, because they can park there, they will park there, and there's other areas of town with townhomes where it works great. You can get a fire truck down there if no one's parked on the road, but
Right.
if you park on both sides, it's barely wide enough for a regular car.
Yeah. We can definitely get some guest parking in there, for sure.
With the area above the top row of houses, maybe to the right of it,
Mm-hmm.
would that be an ideal?
It could be. Yep. Because we do have, I think we've got 20,000, 21,000 square feet of open space here. The sidewalks right now, right along that edge of that access drive. So yeah, that could bump out, and we could pick up some extra parking in there.
Steve, can you show us where potential exits would be in the future plan?
So unless Victory Restoration and grade-wise, you could actually make that work, the logical place to connect in would be right here in future areas. So the idea would be, if there is, it would have to happen with this development happening. This would be a public road. So this section right here that accesses Good Sam Hospice was built and kind of shown to be dedicated as a future public road. So the idea is that road will connect all the way down to Bishopsgate, kind of in the curve of that road as you go up into Kensington. So there could be cross access there. And then again, like we said, if something had happened here, you could pop out that way. I don't know if there's anything in the town that's preventing somebody from using that. I don't know if people in Kensington, shoot down that road to drop their kids off or not, but yeah, that's
Yes. Further questions?
Hopeful for the future connection. I hope people that move into those townhomes hear this someday, that there's going to be a future connection, so they don't come back and get mad at the next one.
right.
You can't fix that one.
Steve, do you have any pictures of the types of townhomes or what they would look like?
Is it gonna be similar to what you have on the newer stuff on Oak Tree, on the outside, the 3 levels?
It's exactly the same.
Off of Providence?
Used on the 18-foot, 24-foot, and the 30-foot. And what it does is, because the 30-foot on the end is like, it's
Like a
here
story
on
and
this,
a
but
half.
then it steps up where the master bedroom is upstairs, so it makes an appealing rise to that. So you got that with, basically it's 1.5 story, 2 stories, 3 story, 3 story plus the middle. So it's aesthetically pleasing, as pleasing as a townhome can be, so.
Where would mailboxes go?
So the postmaster is requiring, I don't know if we've talked about this before in previous applications, is pretty much requiring gang boxes nowadays. We'd have to coordinate that with the postmaster. So either you'd have one box down here at the entrance, a place where he could pull off and put all the mail. It could be up here in this area there. It's really going to depend on where he wants it. Yeah.
That was a question.
He or she,
I don't know,
I'm sorry.
I'll put 49 mailboxes in there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, even the single-family subdivisions we're doing now are requiring it. The big ones out in Price's Fork, there's one we're doing that's 420-some units that Stateson's building, and we have to have, nobody gets a mailbox. I mean, it's hard to think about, you don't have a mailbox at your driveway, but, so we've got 2 or 3 locations the postmaster's determined where he wants us to have a pull-off and the junction boxes, mailboxes.
Further questions?
That's the only concern I have.
Yeah, I think it looks good, Steve. I think it's, as Jennifer noted, it's needed. More townhomes in Christiansburg. So, and it's surrounded by other townhomes or multifamily units, so probably a good spot.
What would be the ideal timeline for breaking ground on this project?
Kind of chomping at the masons, framers, electricians, plumbers, the people you see in the grocery store and the gas station, they all make their living,
So the idea,
including a few accountants.
so the idea would be, I think the contract right now is contingent upon zoning approval. And if that were the case, we'd have survey out fairly quickly after that, and start our engineering plan. So
Submit the plans.
as quick as we can go.
And it does take a little bit of time to do grading, that sort of thing,
Yeah,
for
right.
water and sewer and stormwater, all that stuff. It does take several months to do that.
Yeah, but it could be next fall. I mean, realistically, depending on this timing of this, it could be as early as next fall, early winter. It could be good for it.
That's great. Just knowing that we've got a backlog of plenty of homes, and then some projects are just stalled because of costs and things.
Right.
And that's just nice to know for our citizens when they could potentially see some more options open up.
Hey, Dennis, Wayne, I just submitted 14 building permits. Four of them went out, 114.
Let's just go, we're glad to see that one moving.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
So, as quick as you guys can get it done, we can get it done.
But you're right as far as the pricing. I mean, we're seeing about 35% increases. Some of the bigger projects, you know, kind of sit and stall right now, but the big one, yeah.
Hopefully that gets corrected.
Mhm.
For multiple reasons.
Yes.
Benjamin, are we missing anything?
No, sir, I don't think so. I think the applicant's done a pretty good job explaining the proposal.
Commissioners, do we feel comfortable enough, and do we know enough to take a vote?
No, I would like to see you revise the parking.
So,
As far as the fire truck and some of that's concerned, I mean, ultimately that gets done in the site plan. I mean, that's
That's
not,
correct.
I mean, we don't have to worry about that necessarily.
Correct.
So no, but at times we've had developments that can get extremely tight if there was an emergency, where I would not be certain that there wouldn't be some problems with the fire truck not getting in and out safely. Because of
It's not
extra
with the
parking
street
lot.
empty, it's with
When people are
people
there.
in their
the
cars and
cars lined
things.
up.
But that's the responsibility of, a part of the process, right? To make sure that a fire truck can get down there, and it needs to be one side parking or no street parking. Is that made clear in that process? I mean,
Yeah.
I think about my street, like UPS can barely get through when
Right.
cars park side by side, but there's no guidance there. to stop
Well,
it.
I mean, and I think that, you know, what I would say is that when they do the site plans, the town staff will ensure that it meets all town regulations, right? And, you know, the width that they're proposing is probably enough to do that. Well, what you may want to consider in the future is expanding that, or asking yourself whether or not that width is adequate, or has it been adequate in other situations like the one you just mentioned?
Or can we put stipulate, I don't know what we're allowed to stipulate versus
You are
like
not.
one
This-
side
yeah.
parking, not, yeah.
Yeah, this is a rezoning,
Yeah.
so you basically have to vote it up or down. But I think that, you know, part of the beauty of the process we have here is we have these two meetings, right? And so there's time for you to go back and look at some of those things, and, you know, maybe there's some ways they can address that. We did have a conversation with, we had multiple conversations on Clifton Town Center with engineering staff, with public works, as far as trash. If you remember some of those, we had townhomes that had 14-foot out. So there was a lot of discussion as far as, you know, fire getting down through there, and I think Chief Banks said, there's a car on the way, we gotta get through, the car's gonna move one way or the other.
Right.
I'm kind of joking about it, but, you know, realistically, we had to get through to make sure we had enough spacing for the cars, we had enough, you know, stable area on the ends of those pavements, so if they have to put their legs down, you know, when they're fighting fires, they've got stable base on it. So again, this is set right now as a full subdivision street, you know, so any new subdivision in town, you know, one of the reasons we have to do those 30-foot streets is because people do park on the roads, and you still want to have enough room to get, you know, passenger vehicles. I feel 100% confident with what we've got shown to meet those regulations, but we'll find some places to put some additional.
I think we have to find places to for additional parking. We talked about it before you started here, and my memory is not what it used to be. I think a fire truck as a ladder truck needs 22 feet. You got a car parked in that street, you're not getting it down. No, without taking out the car.
Well, that's for the legs. That's what any fire department asked for. They want 20 to 22 feet clear.
But they also need room to get down there in an emergency. As we talked about it before, my personal belief is our streets, and everyone tells me that, well, it's VDOT standard. Well, in my opinion, VDOT's incorrect. That has to be wider. Because you put cars on those streets, you're going to have a rough time out of emergency equipment down. And unfortunately, we have found that out the hard way. So I agree, we need a lot more, we need to see some more parking. Off street.
And if you'll go to VDOT and work on those standards for us.
Before the next meeting in September.
Before the next meeting, that's fine too. That'd be good. Thank you so much, Judge.
Thank you.
So I'm getting the impression from the commission that we'd like to see an updated plan before we actually take a vote on
Please.
it. And we would look at that during our next meeting on the
September 19th.
September 19th. Good? All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the discussion point for the public billiard parlor and pool room. Have at it, commissioners.
I'm excited for it. I think the concept is awesome, especially for Christiansburg. My only concern is the parking.
I agree.
That's the only thing I'm concerned with. 140 spaces, it's 150 max.
Yeah. For the whole.
My first plan would be the gentleman that has built this new strip mall there to the left. I figure I would talk to him and see if we could use that lot after hours. I've watched over the last few weeks. It seems like after about 6 o'clock in the evening, that lot is vacant.
Totally agree.
It's vacant. Same way with the lot to the right side. It's a little bit more busier through the day, but in the evening time, it's vacant. There's not a lot of.
Is that one owned by someone separate, the one on the right?
It is. It's not.
I couldn't remember who owned that one. Okay.
Mr. Birch does not. I don't believe.
Okay. Okay. And that one would be nice because it is
It would be
a
close.
little bit closer, yeah.
Worst case scenario, I figured I would just buy a van. If we needed it, we could shuttle them back. I'm sure I could work something out with the mall area. They're not using a quarter of what they have. I thought about Corning, but I don't like the idea of people trying to cross the road.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't work at all. It's no good.
No.
And they're 24 hours, so.
Yeah.
Just as it relates to parking, just so you kind of to clarify that a little bit for you all, how that process works. This is a CUP, right? So it has to technically have site, which in this case is not really a site plan, right? Because it's all interior. But one of the things that will get worked out in that is this parking. And basically, we have to approve that at that stage, and then we also have to approve the business occupancy application, BOA stage as well, before they can operate. So the town will have to be satisfied, even if you do recommend approval here and the request itself is approved. The parking still has to.
I have a question. So in addition to pool being a new thing, is there another location that has in-person gambling that's not electronic in Christiansburg?
I would ask the applicant to speak to this, but that's correct. There is.
Okay, so
no
it's just friendly poker table?
Okay.
Okay.
Spots and entry fees to get into the World Series of Poker.
So it's like if you were to go to like a bar and they had a table, people were playing at a table. It's just the type of table is different than eating table.
is against the law. All right? It has to be in a league form. It has to be an organized league. If you get caught playing cards in any facility that has ABC, you got a problem. So you have to be affiliated with those organizations.
So we can't go and play on Friday night because we're really good at doing cards.
When I play Phase 10, I mean, in an establishment with alcohol, is that a card game? Wanna go? Let's go.
Again, if you join the league.
If I join, I'll make a Phase 10 league. Okay.
I think the concept is really nice. I think it's something that we don't have here, and we've never really had around here,
I just think
except
that,
in little small tidbits here and there.
I think the entertainment value here, the opportunity for folks to do something. At first, when you said Sunday through Wednesday, I was like, you're missing out. But you started with the more calm hours before you let us know the late night hours, which of course, will follow noise ordinance and stuff. But I'm just thinking about the opportunity for people to do something fun in the evening on a Friday and Saturday night, Thursday night. I mean, before kids, there was nowhere for my spouse and I to go hang out, so I think this is. And I don't like. I mean, I like Christiansburg. I want to hang out in my town.
Yeah, and I agree. I'd rather spend my money in Christiansburg than, nothing against Blacksburg, but, I'd rather spend my money here. And, like, I'm married, my wife and I, Friday night's our date night. That sounds like the perfect date night for.
Now, is that gonna be open, other than in the league to play pool there?
Sure, of course. Most pool is really involved in the last, I'm an addict. And when I started playing this day, you probably
I've been playing a little longer than you. I'm still not any good at it. But I enjoy it.
Does it count if I can't hit the white ball?
You can start tomorrow night.
You and Pinocchio.
I think the other thing.
But Susie, the worst bank, never been involved in anything. Just the family part-time in the week. It's on a team, she gets hurt, like mom. They learn how to play, they're good about themselves, and that's kind of really popular.
I think the other good thing you guys have going for you is the location. I think it's right off 460, which is key. And then the other thing I hate to see is empty stores. And with you guys moving in there, taking over more than one store that is going to be
That
vacant.
building needs some love.
And I think that's a great opportunity. Right. No, I think it's a great location for you and for this business.
Everything that's happened that Blacksburg and anything that creates jobs and, provide clean entertainment. This is gonna fall in the same seat, probably be 40.
What's your hopeful timeline?
The restaurant would be
periods
Do
of
you-
time.
Do you have a age limitation?
For the time, the APA for children. I'm not sure how much is going to do with ABC. ABC can go on.
Right.
I would like to have kids in, but
Okay. Other questions?
Are you gonna have like big screen TVs or anything anywhere to watch games?
no, but the restaurant would literally be a total separate.
Because it's the original structure, right, the way it's kind of completed right now, it's two separate areas.
Okay.
It will be basically like, he wanted that one would be what.
So bar side will have bar snacks and
Two separate rooms, correct? The movie, the restaurant, the restaurant will be,
I like the concept.
Yeah. I don't have any more questions.
No more questions? Do we feel comfortable?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I could, just to clarify a couple things for the record,
Please.
because we've talked about some things like gambling. The applicant is not proposing any gambling. Gambling under state law would require a referendum. The police department has been consulted on the proposal. They, at least at this time, as we understand it, feel like it can be managed. The applicant, I believe, is proposing some electronic machines in the gaming area.
to be able to watch, that's all. Not
Sure.
even- But they can,
Right.
They would be of the type like we would see in a convenience store,
you see it.
something like
The only
Yeah.
difference is, I don't know if this, there's different companies that do it. Wayside,
Mm.
they just have to do it. The ones that are nice are not company called, they are much good.
And ABC will determine a lot of these things
Mm-hmm,
Right.
right.
outside of the town. One other question, if I could. Is there a charge to play the poker tables? Is that?
Poker, I think that's the only sport is that they should leave. So basically, they come to play, they're just giving them back money. But here's, they have a monetary value, but there is no money at the play. As soon as there's play, poker, they take poker, it's them.
One's gambling, one's not.
Thank you.
I appreciate the research and thoughtfulness you put into this.
Yeah. Well, commissioners, I'll propose it once again. Are we comfortable to have a motion tonight and take a vote?
I think so.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the request for the Parlor, back to their name.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Okay, congratulations. Now, just for further clarification, there will be a public hearing with town council
Correct. Yes, sir.
and the date.
That would be October the 3rd.
Okay. So you want to make sure that you're definitely there. Okay.
So
All right, thank you.
I anticipate that we will be meeting on the 19th for the other requests, but you would not need to be present at that meeting. Sort of go on to the council. And I think those are identified in the letter that you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to other business. Benjamin, I believe you had some other business?
I have a couple other things for you. Just one thing, I think I misunderstood you, Mr. Chairman, about the item number 6. I would probably suggest that you vote to continue that to that meeting.
Okay.
That would be October the 17th.
Okay.
Just for
And
clarity.
I have a motion for the continuance to the 17th.
Can I give a motion to continue for the 17th?
You can. Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay.
Thank you.
We are leaving.
Also, I just want to note, most of you were there on the Comprehensive Plan Subcommittee met a couple weeks back, and I felt like that was a really great meeting. I think you all seemed pretty happy as well, so any of you that might like to make some comments on that, feel free to. But I really look forward to getting that work started with you. I know you all do too. We are on schedule to do it. I would propose that the next subcommittee meeting, for those of you not at the meeting, the subcommittee will meet every other month to work on the plan. I would suggest that first or the next meeting, that day, September 19th. We were going to meet the first meeting of the month at 5:30, and then that way kind of roll on into this meeting if you're having it, and if not, then everybody gets to go home.
And
Sir?
just one comment, for those of you that are not on the subcommittee, we will keep you definitely in the loop. And nothing
Correct.
will get done without you guys knowing about it. So it was just we felt like a smaller group might be more convenient, and not everybody could meet at the earlier time too. So I think it's gonna work out just fine. And we are going to get some help from the Regional Commission as
Okay.
well. So that's great. They've done this for other towns before, and I think that they have a really good handle on it. And as Benjamin has done this before in the Salem area, I think we'll have the right tools and the right people, and we'll take care of this. The other comment that I'll make is, Benjamin, I believe you said it could take 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah, I would expect probably a longer.
So
Right.
we're gonna bite off little pieces and go through it bit by bit, and it won't be that everything will get changed. There'll be some sections that will have no change whatsoever. But where we would like to make the change, we're gonna proceed, and then we'll discuss it. That's all I had on that one.
Well, and I think also, just to let you know, there are minutes from that committee, which, once they approve, can also be delivered to the entire planning commission, so you can kind of read those and see that. But I suppose the way I've envisioned it is the subcommittee will function somewhat as a steering committee, and as work gets done there, it will recommend it basically to this body, which would then recommend it on to the town council. So everything kind of flows through that. Make sure we've got Did you all have any questions about the comprehensive plan or either comments?
I'm excited.
All right, I'm excited too. I want to hand out a report that I have here. This is a presentation that I did at town council. Many of you have seen it. I'll go ahead and just pass those along. I know, Mr. Chairman, you already have one.
Yes.
Generally, I like to deliver a annual report to the Planning Commission. This has most of those statistics in it, let's say about 8 pages or so into it. You might just flip back a couple pages in. Fine. But it's a good summary of everything that, you know, the department did in the past year. And it was kind of an exciting year. So you can read all about the staff there, core functions, my little, you know, kind of thing about the two sides of the coin, the plan and the zoning, making it all happen. It's all there. But you could see, you know, the number of BOAs that we did, the number of inspections that were done, but also the number of public hearings that you had, the number of meetings that were held, the number of CUPs, all that sort of thing. So I'll give you some time to look at it. I wasn't going to present it formally here unless you'd like me to do that, say at a future meeting, but please feel free to, you know, give me a call and reach out to me and say, hey, I saw this and I was kind of curious. Happy to answer any questions. And then lastly, I just wanted to kind of spend just a moment talking about the zoning ordinance. And as we've discussed before, town staff, and when I say town staff, I mainly mean Jude. And Jude's really done fabulous work. I cannot say enough nice things about it. It's really been impressive. But, so for instance, what we're trying to do here is just clarify the existing zoning ordinance. We're not really changing. If you're going to change a lot, those need to be outcomes from the comprehensive plan. There are things that require a public hearing. If you're going to decide, should we have this use in that district, that sort of thing. Those are larger discussions. Nothing that we're doing here is a large discussion. All we're seeking to do is to make it easier to use. So I've got an example of that here. We've got on the left the existing ordinance for agriculture. You can see there the statement of intent. There's a list of permitted uses. If you look here, the uses, for instance, are not in single-family dwellings, including these things. Agriculture and forestry is a massive definition. Pens, buildings to consist, parks and playgrounds. Then you have churches and other places of worship, and so on. And you can also see, like 13 there, a minor home occupation, but then it goes on to say major home occupation with a condition. I guess my point really is it's very clunky. You have to read into it sometimes pretty far to find something. You know, and I can give you some other examples of that. But what we would replace this with is this, which says exactly the same thing, includes all the same uses, but differentiates them between the permitted ones here, which are broken down by type, and then also a little bit further, the ones that require a CUP. So it's much easier to find. It lists things that are common accessory uses and other things as determined by the zoning administrator. All that says exactly what it says now, except in a simpler and easier to understand way. So folks like us, folks like Steve, folks like our citizens can read it. If you scroll down a little further, can you show the other site development regulations? No, I mean, go back up to the old site. Sorry. So here's what we have now. Area, you have this long paragraph here for setback. There's all this stuff, frontage, yards. Here's what you should do on Thursday. Go to the new one now. It's replacing it with So it's
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm excited about doing it because I think it will improve everything and just create a lot of efficiency for everyone involved. You know, I am going to be reaching out to some members of the development community and ask them to kind of take a look at it, get their thoughts on it as we continue with it. But basically what I wanted to do is put this in front of you all because you're going to vote on this and recommend it to the town council. Like I say, it doesn't really change anything substantive. I kind of wanted to get your okay, just, you know, go ahead and continue with this before we get much further into it. Because while ag is a relatively simple section, some of the others are not. If there were any concerns or suggestions or something like that, I'd like to know at this point. Before
You can make other sections look like this. I think it would make all of our lives a little simpler.
Absolutely. It's actually the point. Yes. I mean, it really is a rewrite. I mean, it's not, we can't deliver it. We talked about this earlier. We cannot deliver it structure.
No, this is
But
great.
it's going to be just,
Let me ask this question. I mean, I love the simplification. I'm just curious, for like the one that you just showed that took it from like a paragraph to very simplistic bullets, is there any like intent that might be missing from the simplification or?
not really.
That adds
yeah.
to different levels of interpretation for,
Yeah.
you know, some of the complexities.
I will say there is the addition of a use and design standards section, which in the new code, when you see something, like if you look like that pins definition, there you go. So right here, you now have a use and design standard that there's the stuff about the pins that was in that giant paragraph. It just keeps it out of the uses because it's not a use.
So if someone
how to
cares
do the
about it,
use.
they can go look further. Okay, I found this and it's telling me to go here. Now
Yeah.
I can read about the pen. Whereas if someone
Correct.
doesn't care about the pen, they don't have to skip a whole page.
And if you go back up to where it says pins, you'll notice there's an asterisk. Well, there will be an asterisk. Sorry, there will be an asterisk. So there'll be like an asterisk next to that, and that will mean they're using design standards. So, yeah, I mean, you don't want to lose that nuance, because there are things that are like, you do it this way, you want to do it like this, it requires a CDP. But it's just a matter of really other places. There are a few little improvements. Could show that page here. Yeah, just make that a little bigger. There's some terms that we, you know, like these yellow ones here that we may not continue using, just their old-fashioned terms like feeble-minded, that could be replaced with better words, I think, today. If you'll scroll down a little bit, there are some examples of things that are in conflict with state code, 6 bedrooms, but then it says here 5 bedrooms, that kind of thing. There's a few definitions that, you know, we did add, like how many contractor storage yards? Bunch.
Yeah.
There's not a definition for what a contractor storage yard is. Code.
Right.
Now, I think the definition we're working on is like a storage yard for contract. But it's something, right? It's at least got, you know, this is the thing we're approving. So we just kind of relied on interpretation. But do we have that? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Jews, there? Jarring.
Not really. I guess, obviously, with kind of cleaning up specific uses, a lot of these uses that were paragraph long, that use will go into, we'll create new definitions for things, especially things that aren't, optimized for fine things, but other things, because
think it's nice.
Looks good.
You have a good order. I mean, the information does a good job. They added here.
Yeah.
Change the number there. Right.
So let me ask this question. That needs to come before plan commission after you make those changes, or no, you can just make them as town staff? Remind me the
Yes, it
process.
needs, you need to approve it.
Yeah.
Or, well, sorry, you need to recommend it to, because it is changed.
Given that I know that it can be really long, what is your intent in regards to sending it before planning commission?
Do we
'Cause
have
I-
it in chunks?
Yes, because if you send us the whole thing, I imagine there would not be a whole lot of thoroughness done to it, but if it's in chunks, then we can, I think, confidently read through it, ask questions, and give a confident recommendation for town council. Yes, that was, in the same way that we're breaking up the,
Comprehensive plan?
thank you, comprehensive plan, and doing that in chunks. I didn't know if we could see this in chunks, just so that way we can read it and understand, and then probably as we go through it, it'd be easier for us to quickly process it for future ones.
Sure. Yeah, it's not something that I would just.
Yeah.
But I would probably suggest that we look at it in chunks and do it as a group. But I would probably also suggest that we voted on as well,
Oh, yeah.
just so that
Sure.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, but I'd like to review it in chunks, just because
absolutely.
I do want it to be, I completely trust you all, but I think it's important
Well,
that if
the more
planning
eyes on it,
commissioners
the
are
better.
gonna recommend something, that we actually read it and see, and then also as users of like folks who are not in it every day, to also be like, see the great work that you've done and appreciate the changes to make it more user-friendly, and possibly add any like recommendations based from our own use, as someone who does go to it for projects.
I-
It is so refreshing to see planning staff being proactive on this. Our neighbors to the north are, every zoning issue we see in that code is like, well, we just don't have time. You guys did this with the plan for stuff. I mean, you guys got that. I mean, it's extremely important. Clean, clear, that don't have miscommunication, things that, completely out of line, sorry.
No, no, no.
But it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear.
And we appreciate the feedback.
The kudos for town staff.
'72 was a very, very, very. Contractors' orders, the simplest way for contractors to increase profitability is to buy in bulk, and then, have to, train for, buy in bulk, by the tractor trailer, go forward. Severe reduction in price, hey, that's how you build margins in this state. Because nobody's going to work without a, other than schools, employees. You need to consider tractor storage is important, but it is it builds the contractor's margin.
Yeah, and just to clarify, it wouldn't change anything from what we've done now, we just have a definition.
Clear.
We're codifying. It's not something that's in the code.
Okay.
17, right?
I just had a few comments for the other section. First of all, welcome back, commissioners. Glad to see everybody back. It's been a while. The other thing we've done a couple times is done some presentations.
Have a good
And
night.
I'd like to introduce those back into our planning commission meeting. I know that we've done, was it, Ashley, you've done something on the bike, bikeway, walkway one, right?
For Wilson,
Yeah, Jennifer's
housing.
done the housing.
Yep, the housing one, right? So, I also have a couple new positions. I'm on the I-81 committee now, and I presented out to the regional commission. And I'd like to do that, probably not next meeting because I'm not gonna be here.
Hey, drop that.
And I also was elected to chairman of the New River Valley Regional Commission now.
Oh,
nice.
Congratulations.
My days are getting busier.
Oh.
But it was,
You can't relate to that.
so just back to the Interstate 81 committee, it was amazing, just all the information that they shared. And the three things I talked about was the capital projects in the Salem district and all the money and all the improvements. And I have all the dates and everything that they plan to do and everything that they're doing. And it's just, it doesn't seem to be common knowledge. And this is something that I shared with the regional commission. And then the other one was all the rail improvements that are being done between Roanoke and here. And the amount of funding that's going into that is just enormous. And then, are you guys all familiar with the Virginia Breeze bus service? Okay. Well, that was the only ignorant one, I guess, because I didn't know how elaborate that was, and the different lines that they have that run between DC and here. That's just, it's amazing. So, anyway, there was a short little presentation I went to on that too. So I would like to maybe at one of our future meetings, just pencil me in and it'd be a short presentation, and I could share some of the information that I get there.
Would you like October the 17th?
Sounds great to me.
I think that we'll be here on the 19th, Steve's thing, not on 3rd probably. But so our next meeting, I think, will be on the 17th, because we have
Okay.
item 6 from tonight,
Right.
that presentation. Would that be by yourself or?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll just put a quick PowerPoint together,
Okay.
and it will, if you want me to stand at the podium, I will, but I don't think I need to. But it'll just be real short, but it'll be real good information that, again, that everybody was blown away with all the work that's being
I
done.
would love to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, and as you drive up 81, you see all the signage now too, and then the ramps, the new ramps extending onto, it's just, it's
I like the
amazing.
3 lanes.
The 3 lanes, and I've got all the information as to what were the 3 lanes, northbound, southbound, all the mile markers and everything, so it's a lot of good information. That's all I had.
I'd like to request, you guys mentioned, I'm having trouble in
Yes, sir.
the authorization and even my husband, wife can't get that. I'd like to meet somebody, to take care of it.
Okay.
It gets, I had a call today to make sure that me.
Have you been in since you've done 2-factor? I will say, like, I know when I went to go meet with IT, because I was like, I followed every step to the T and I repeated it. And he actually had to go in and give me permissions. So it wasn't that I was failing the instructions, it was
Right.
that on the back end, I had not been activated. Because I think there might have been a meeting where
Yeah.
you all did that, and anyone who wasn't
did.
at that meeting didn't get
Didn't get it.
activated.
Well, and to be fair, when I came,
Yeah.
I mean, I had the
Yeah.
same issue.
Yeah.
But yes, would you like for me to have get with you, or would you like to? Is it anybody else have a problem?
else is happening.
2, 3, yeah, 4. Well, perhaps maybe they could, like we talked about, come to this meeting. We can just have them do it. That sounds good. So, in the meantime, Mr. Clerk, do you have alternate email addresses? Do you have another email? I'd be happy to send notifications there as well, if you want to catch me up with that.
The town texting service is also,
Pardon me?
the town texting service that sends you a text message every time there's like a meeting that's
Yeah,
canceled
not
and stuff
that.
has been helpful.
I don't have that.
We were
They
out
send you
of
all
town.
kinds of phone updates. I get emails.
My apologies.
No, that's fine.
I get enough email.
Like it tells you like the aquatic center is back open today.
Right? I'm gonna have to sign up for that. That's, I need that.
I think during.
Their water aerobics is really fun.
Is there any updates that you can share for like
haven't in a while, but I did
Had the most
any
flexibility.
building going on for commercial or any changes of any of developments that we've approved over the last couple of years that are gonna start
do it.
soon? Cause I know, Jim was talking about they've actually started their construction off of Stafford. They've started what they're gonna do there. Anything that's new that you can share with us?
We've been working on the Patricia Lane.
Are they
They're-
townhomes or are they apartments?
I think that
I think they're gonna be apartments.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of, maybe that would be a good thing.
Sure.
Anything that's
But
coming.
there are a variety of things going on. They're not always things that I would necessarily know about.
Mm-hmm.
Really not causing.
Yeah.
We like this update though. I saw it presented on YouTube and I think it shows how much you guys are able to accomplish with such a small staff.
Yeah.
Could do it. Because the vast majority of this.
Yeah.
I really stand on the shoulders. All the praise should go to them.
Good job, Jude. You go away. Jude, stand up.
Jude, one of the feeble-minded commissioners.
Speaking of which, Jude also reminded me about the upcoming planning commission.
I'm going next week.
Yeah, but you guys.
All right.
So,
Yeah, you haven't been yet?
I
know.
Oh my
Listen,
gosh.
people, I was signed up and then the pandemic happened. And then they canceled
blame
it.
it on COVID.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the world shut down.
I was supposed to go April 2020 and then they said, nope, not happening.
Who
Well,
else
good luck
still
with
needs to
that.
take that?
Time to, like,
It'll be virtual, so I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay. Good.
yeah,
All
We'll
right.
be virtually there
Congratulations.
together.
yeah, and Jillian, in fact, I think she's reached, did she reach out to you guys as well?
Haven't talked to anyone yet.
You can have study
The,
groups now.
Yeah, well, we've reserved a room here.
Oh,
in
well, maybe
town
if
hall,
I
so if
come
you wanna
here,
come here.
sitting at home alone.
Yeah, and kind of enjoy it with everybody else.
Oh, that'd be great.
It might-
That would be really nice if you do that, yeah.
8 to 5?
Is it 8 to 5?
Nine, that's pretty cheating.
Open notes.
It's on
Starts
our
at 8.
homework.
Is there homework between the 2 days?
There is.
Oh,
No,
gosh.
after the 2 days.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, between the two sessions, yes, there's lots.
Yeah.
Well, no, ours is is a Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
Yeah.
what are the other 2 days?
Yeah, it's in the plan.
You might wanna
You
talk
gotta
to you
get
a little
with
bit
you.
later and make sure that you know what you're doing.
There's only 16
I was
books
like,
you have to
weekly
read too,
assignments.
so.
I still have them all.
Oh, yeah.
I have them.
What'd you say? Who?
Jillian hasn't talked.
It might be in their email that they can't get to.
Yeah,
Could be.
I told her to call.
Oh.
She called me.
Yeah.
I never
I'll follow up. What would you call date?
It's next Thursday and Friday. Yeah, the 8th and 9th from 9 to 3:30. She called me today.
Would be a little short. Well, let me have. Yeah. So, we need to get you.
Didn't the teacher said that he never had anybody fail? I think so. Look out.
So far.
Don't be the first one.
Well, she doesn't show up for the second half. She didn't know it was me. It's like that nightmare that you have after you finish school.
Okay, anything else? Well,
No.
meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.